So should Venezuela be criticized for its failure to prevent such a large amount of cocaine to leave the country? For more, I spoke to Peter Hakim from the Inter-American Dialogue here in Washington, D.C.
Well, they're surprised. I mean, when you come up with the amount of cocaine that was discovered on flights put in suitcases, it implies a level of corruption in the police force or the military, whoever is supposed to be checking that, that's for sure. Let me say, though, that the amount of cocaine coming to the United States, coming to Europe, going through Brazil, going through all these other countries is very, very high as well. I'm not sure Venezuela should be criticized, but then if Venezuela, why not every other country virtually? And what about criticism of the U.S.? That's sort of the biggest user of cocaine in the world. What about Europe? A huge consumer. Brazil is a huge consumer. You know, everyone's to blame. The fact is that Venezuela got caught, and it shows corruption within the Venezuelan hierarchy, if you like. But I don't think that the drug problem is sort of any motivated or increased by sort of Venezuela's neglect. It's by a sort of a faulty policy more generally.
Well, you know, and Venezuela has so many other issues going on with its country, with its economy,
Right.
Issues with energy. Are drugs really on top of its priority list anyway?
No, I don't think so, but it's not on top of most countries' priority list, frankly. In other words, most countries, if they're worried about drugs, is because they're unhappy with the violence and the crime that's associated with drugs, not the drugs per se, particularly in Latin America. The U.S., there's more of a concern with the drugs per se. But by and large, even in the U.S., once the violence and crime was brought down, there was sort of very little interest in drugs. Right now, more than half of the Americans think marijuana should be legalized.
Even if Venezuela was able to crack down on the drug issue in its country, could its judicial system, could its jail system handle what comes along with cracking down on drugs?
Probably not. I mean, the prison system is probably one of the worst in the world, certainly the worst in Latin America. And most of the people in jails have never been convicted of a crime. They haven't been tried. But take another country, Mexico, for example, homicides, only about maybe 5% of homicides do they find the guilty party, prosecute him, and put him in jail. So in other words, judicial systems throughout the region are in terrible shape. Venezuela's may be a little bit worse because it's so sort of influenced by sort of the government officials. I mean, there's no independence at all within the Venezuelan judicial system. So it's a little bit worse, but judicial systems, particularly when dealing with criminal activities, are really inadequate, really across Latin America.
All right. Peter Hakim from the Inter-American Dialogue, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much, as always, for joining us.
Thank you very much.